Hey there and welcome. Today we are diving deep into your immune system's most elite unit. We're talking about the first responders, the ones on the scene in minutes when things go wrong. We're talking about your granulocytes. Just think about it for a second. You get a little cut or maybe a splinter, and almost instantly this microscopic war kicks off right under your skin. But who are those first soldiers to arrive? What's the actual battle plan? Well, that's exactly what we're going to break down right now. All right, let's get into it. The heroes of our story today are a special type of cell called granulocytes. You can think of them as the shock troops of your innate immune system. That's the part of your body's defenses that is always on, always ready to fight any invader at a moment's notice. So, why the name granulocytes? Well, it's actually pretty simple. Their defining feature is the tiny little packets, or granules, that are stuffed inside them. And these aren't just for show. They are packed with powerful chemicals. We're talking literal weapons, just waiting to be unleashed on any unwelcome bacteria or virus. So this granulocyte team, it's got 4 key players, and each one has a super specialized role. First, you've got the neutrophils, basically the huge army of cell eaters. Then there are the eosinophils, your parasite specialists. And finally, you have the alarm system duo, the mast cells, which are like stationary sentinels, and the basophils, the circulating patrol. So let's meet them one by one. First up, the most famous of the bunch, the neutrophils. These guys are the infantry, the foot soldiers, who are almost always the first to arrive at the site of an infection or an injury. And their main job? It's simple. Eat the enemy. And to really get how important they are, you just have to look at the numbers. Neutrophils aren't some tiny special ops team. They make up over 60% of all your granulocytes. They are the absolute bulk of your body's rapid response force, constantly on patrol in your bloodstream, just waiting for the call to action. And their strategy is just beautifully efficient. First step, recruitment. Chemical signals go off. It's like a flare gun being fired at the trouble spot, and that calls them in. Second, recognition. They find the bad guys, which are usually tagged for destruction by other parts of the immune system. And finally, step 3, elimination. They neutralize the threat by literally swallowing it whole. So what happens after they swallow a pathogen? Well, it is not a pleasant end. Inside that neutrophil, the invader gets blasted with a nasty cocktail of destructive chemicals, including something that's basically bleach, just to make sure it is completely and utterly obliterated. This whole cell-eating process has a name: phagocytosis. Okay, let's move on to the next member of the team, the eosinophils. Now, if neutrophils are the general infantry, you can think of eosinophils as the special forces. They're trained to take on bigger, more specific kinds of enemies. And their tactics are totally different. See, while neutrophils are amazing at eating up bacteria, eosinophils hardly ever do that. They're designed to fight things that are just too big to be eaten, like parasitic worms. So instead of swallowing them, they just surround the invader and bombard it with their own special payload of chemical weapons. Their granules release these unique toxins like major basic protein, which is a chemical so powerful it can literally punch holes in a parasite's outer defenses. It is devastating. But there's a flip side. This powerful arsenal can sometimes be misdirected. When eosinophils get overactive, they become a key player in the chronic inflammation we see in things like allergies and asthma. So how does the body even know to send in all these troops in the first place? That's where our last 2 team members come in. Meet the alarm system, mast cells and basophils. Their whole job is to spot trouble and sound the alarm, which triggers inflammation. Think of mast cells like guards posted at a kingdom's gates. They aren't just floating around in your blood. They are strategically stationed in the tissues that are most likely to run into invaders: your skin, your airways, your gut. They are silent sentinels, just waiting for a trigger. And here's how that trigger works, especially when it comes to allergies. Mast cells get primed by these special antibodies called IgE, which acts like tiny little sensors on the cell's surface. So when an allergen, like pollen, comes along and connects 2 of those sensors, it's like a tripwire gets pulled. The mast cell instantly explodes its granules, releasing a flood of histamine, and that's what causes all the itching, swelling, and classic symptoms of an allergic reaction. So here's the key difference. While mast cells are those stationary guards posted in your tissues, basophils are their partners. They're the circulating patrol. They do a very similar job, carrying histamine and other alarm signals all throughout your bloodstream. ready to respond wherever they're needed. Okay, so we've met the army, the specialists, and the alarm system. Now let's just put it all together to see why this coordinated team of granulocytes is so incredibly fundamental to your everyday health and, well, your survival. This table really brings it all home. The next time you see a little bit of pus at a cut, you'll know exactly what you're looking at. It's the aftermath of the neutrophil army's big battle. The next time you feel the itch of a hive or that wheeze of asthma, you'll know you're feeling the effects of mast cells and eosinophils. It's amazing, right? These microscopic cells create the very real physical responses we experience all the time. And that really brings us to our final thought. This system is designed to protect us, but its power is just immense. Understanding how these cells work is the first critical step, but the bigger question is still out there. How do we fine-tune this incredibly powerful response? How do we calm it down when it causes allergies and autoimmune diseases, but without weakening our essential defenses? That, right there, is the frontier of immunology. Thanks so much for joining me.